Hello, my loves. I am back with Pre-Med 3, Day 2, and it is still the endocrine system. Want to make sure that you're familiar with the diagram. Pineal gland, parathyroid, adrenal, pancreas, ovaries, testes, thyroid, and pituitary. All right? So I just wanted to make sure you are aware of those because that will be on the test. Okay, let's just touch up a little bit on what we did yesterday. Remember, the endocrine glands are ductless. They have no pump, okay? It just comes out and goes into the blood. But by the same token, in other words, it's not exocrine. It doesn't exit the body like tears do, all right, or saliva. But because the endocrine glands don't have a pump, they move along much slower. But they don't just go out in the blood and go willy-nilly wherever they want, willy-nilly, I said that again. They actually have receptor sites that they're going to, all right? So, thyroid gland, if you look at the top of page 752, I think it is. All right, let's see if we can get it. 752, the thyroid gland. Here we go. Let's see, got it. Okay, this is the thyroid gland right here, and it surrounds your trachea, which is your windpipe, all right? The thyroid gland secretes two hormones, T3 and T4. T3 is triiodothyronine, and what that does is it's responsible for the metabolic rate of the cells. What's metabolic rate or metabolism? That is how fast our bodies or our cells turn food into energy, all right? Okay, the thyroid gland needs iodine, and otherwise it's not gonna function properly, all right? And if it doesn't have enough iodine, a goiter can develop. And if you look on, let me see, yesterday I think I said it was 768. Hold on, let's see. I think it's somewhere. Yep, here we go, 768. Okay, that is a goiter. That is an enlarged thyroid gland, and it is surrounding your windpipe, all right? Now, and that's because you have low levels of the hormones the thyroid produces, T3 and T4, all right? You have low levels of iodine causing that. Hyperthyroid, hyper anything is excessive or above, and that is an overactive thyroid gland. The parathyroid glands, let me get back to the thyroid and I'll show you what I'm talking about, okay? The parathyroid, I don't know why, but every time I see them, they look like snakes, but they're not. All right, let me show you. Ooh, if I can get this book to cooperate. All right, here we go, on this side. See that big yellow thing, this big yellow thing? That is your thyroid gland. It goes all the way around. On the back, you'll see these 4 darker gold-colored dots. That's your parathyroid. You have 4 of them, or 2 pair, but they look like snake eyes. I don't know why. Not snake skin. I have no idea why. Parathyroid, what does it secrete? Parathyroid hormone. What is it responsible for? It's responsible for maintaining calcium and phosphorus in the body. Teeth need calcium. Your bones need calcium, all right? Okay, now hypofunctioning of the thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, can lead to tetany. My daddy had that one time because he had cancer of the thyroid gland, and they removed it. Well, it took out his parathyroid too. He had to take liquid calcium his whole life. Man never measured it, and that was his problem. Because he didn't measure it, he wasn't taking enough. And one day, he looked like a prune. Everything, I mean, eyes, everything was affected. It was like you couldn't move. It was just stuck. That's tetany. Got to the hospital, discovered his calcium was low. Doctor administered the calcium, which burns like hell, and it can kill you. And he never did that again because the IV burned so badly, all right? Adrenal glands, oh Lord, here we go. Adrenal glands, you have 2, one on top of each kidney. Now remember, I told you have 2 parts to the adrenal gland. Number pointing to number that's the kidney right there. Number one, this is the medulla, or the inner portion of the adrenal gland. That is the cortex, number two, all right? So you have an inner and an outer region of the cortex, of the adrenal glands. Now, they secrete steroids, all right? And cortisone is used to commonly treat arthritis, which is a steroid. Now, increased amounts of this can lead to, look at this, Cushing's disease. Remember I told you that yesterday? Look at how round her face is, just like a pincushion, okay? That's Cushing's disease. The adrenal medulla secretes epinephrine, and epinephrine is a powerful cardiac stimulant. On page 750, 756, we're going to see the pancreas, okay? And here's your pancreas, all right? Right there, that's the pancreas. It's behind the stomach, that's why it's not in a bright color. Now, the pancreas also is known as the islets of Langerhans, and it's located behind the stomach, and it is responsible for glucagon and insulin, all right? My husband is a very, very severe diabetic, and because of that, he is on an insulin pump, and I can show you a picture of what it looks like right here. In other words, he still has to check his blood sugar 4 and 5 times a day, but he doesn't have to inject himself because his pancreas doesn't work. This little machine, which is a mini computer that attaches to his stomach, secretes insulin all day long, all right? If it's needed. If it's not needed, it doesn't. But there's 2 types of diabetes, and both of them are known as diabetes mellitus. But type 1 is seen mainly in children and adults over 40. This is the type where the pancreas either doesn't secrete insulin, doesn't secrete enough, or your body doesn't know what to do with it. And you have no insulin whatsoever. So there goes the insulin pump, all right? Now, a good one. Here we go. Pituitary gland. I think we left off there, all right? And it's on page 766, if I can get to it. There we go. So, oh, yeah. 766. You see that little bitty pea thing right there? That's your pituitary gland. Little bitty pea. No bigger than a pea. All right. It's at the base of your brain. It has 2 lobes. It has a posterior and an anterior. Now, the pituitary gland is called the master gland because it tells other organs what to produce, when to produce their hormones, and how much to produce of their hormones, all right? Okay, let's see. Again, like I said, it has 2 lobes, front and back, or posterior and anterior. Oh, look at this on page 759, I think it is. 759. You got your book? This is an excellent, excellent source of a study guide. This shows you, can't keep it straight. There's the medulla and the cortex. They're 2 different colors. The anterior and posterior. Anterior's in pink, posterior's in yellow. I want you to look at how much of this diagram is pink. Now, pink is the hormones. The little oval purple things are what it does. But look how few the posterior lobe has. We're going to get into that right now with the notes. Okay, there's basically 3 functions of the pituitary gland. It affects the sugar and starch in our body. It's responsible for maintaining our body's water balance and responsible for the growth of long bones. Those are the bones in your arms and your leg. All right, the anterior lobe. Here we go. The anterior lobe secretes 6 hormones. 6, all right? It's going to secrete. Number 1 is growth hormone. Now, if you have an increased amount of growth hormone after puberty, it is known as acromegaly. And if you look on 775, I think that's what the page number is, 775. Yeah, it could be that. Let's see, we're going to see a picture of it. Oh, we're getting close. Hold on, I'm still looking. Oh, here we go. Look. Okay. This is acromegaly. This is not just a big foot. This is acromegaly. In other words, your body secretes growth hormone before puberty. It's when you grow. But if it keeps secreting a lot of this growth hormone after puberty, it's acromegaly, all right? That's enlarged hands and feet. If you get too much growth hormone before puberty, gigantism develops. And I'm talking like the guy in the picture standing up. The guy with the little stripe on his shirt, he's about 6 feet tall. Look at the dude with the plaid shirt. That's gigantism, okay? So, that's just what growth hormone can do. That's one hormone from the anterior lobe. Hypofunctioning, and you need to know this, hypofunctioning, however, the opposite of the pituitary gland, can cause dwarfism. All right, second hormone secreted, thyroid stimulating hormone. It's known as TSH, and it speaks for itself. What do you think it does? It stimulates the thyroid gland to produce its hormones, T3 and T4, all right? The third set of hormones are adrenocorticotropic. So we've dealt with bones, we've dealt with the thyroid gland. Now it's going to start telling the adrenal gland what to do. This increases the amount of cortisol from the adrenal cortex. Remember that intersection? It secretes cortisone, which can be used to treat arthritis. All right, it's a steroid. That's the third one. The fourth one are gonadotropic hormones. Gonad. Come on, male, female. All right. What it causes to be secreted is follicle stimulating hormone in the female that causes ovulation. Remember, I told you we don't just have estrogen and progesterone in our bodies. We have follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, which is another one. So follicle stimulating hormone, or FSH, causes ovulation to occur, causes that one egg to go to the surface of the ovary. Luteinizing hormone sustains the pregnancy. After the egg is ruptured, the follicle is ruptured and the egg comes out, those first 3 months, you're really, really sick, usually with the morning sickness. That's what maintains the pregnancy. Lute, remember it means yellow? Well, this sac, that empty follicle, stays on the surface of the ovary, fills up with a yellow fluid, and that's what sustains the pregnancy. After usually 3 months, it kind of goes away. Then we have prolactin, lactose, milk. It produces milk in females, prolactin. Now, look, that's only 5. You notice? Although I said there were 6 hormones secreted by the anterior lobe, you only count 5 of them above. That's because number 4 has 2. It's got the FSH and LH. I was trying to trick you. So you got growth hormone, thyroid stimulating, adrenocorticotropic, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, and prolactin. That's the 6 from the anterior lobe, the front. Now, the posterior lobe secretes 2 hormones. It secretes antidiuretic. Now, remember, we also said that the thyroid gland, I believe, was responsible. The thyroid gland. The pituitary gland was also responsible for water balance in your body. This is the hormone that does that. Antidiuretic. A diuretic is something that makes you pee. Antidiuretic is something that makes you not pee. Now, if you may have an older relative that has hypertension and the doctor's putting one Lasix, that is a diuretic to make you pee so you don't retain fluid and end up really sick. But our body makes this ADH, antidiuretic hormone, all right? It helps to maintain the water balance in our bodies. Finally, the second hormone secreted by that posterior lobe, oxytocin. If anybody's had a baby, you're aware of oxytocin. Your uterus is contracting. You're contracting all the time you're in labor, all right? not this much, but uterus is contracting, trying to open up that cervix so the baby can come through. Well, oxytocin helps with the hormone called pitocin. They both work together to cause the uterus to contract. Now, after the baby is born, your uterus is like, oh, I give up. That's it. Well, they need the uterus to continue to contract so you can pass the placenta, or what's known as afterbirth. So sometimes they will have to give you a little oxytocin through an injection to cause the uterus to clamp down and contract and push out the placenta. All right? Okay, gonad. That's it for the pituitary. That's just, you got them 6 and 2. Okay? Ovaries, also called gonads, male and female. The whole location of the ovaries, one on each side of the abdominal region in females. They secrete estrogen and progesterone. We got all kind of hormones, I told you. The function is sexual characteristics. The testes, there's 2 testes located in the scrotal sac of the male. The hormone it secretes is testosterone. You notice I've only mentioned 1 for the guys, and they can't seem to handle that sometimes. And they think we're not supposed to go crazy with 5 and 6 hormones. Anyway, testosterone is responsible for sexual characteristics also. All right, let's see. Yeah, we're doing okay. Both in the next page, both in the ovaries in the female and the testes in the male, they're known as gonads. Therefore, they're called gonadotropic hormones. And if you look back at the pituitary gland, and number 4 under anterior, gonadotropic hormones. See, I wouldn't fib to you. Pineal gland, not your penis, no, nor anybody's penis. Pineal gland is located in the brain. What it's responsible for mainly is our 24-hour clock. It's called a circadian rhythm. And your body produces melatonin. Babies, newborns have tons of melatonin. That's why they sleep so much. But as we get older, we don't produce as much melatonin. That's why you'll see older people, they get up at the crack of dawn. Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry, not me. Anyway, yes, up at the crack of dawn, and they go to bed early because they don't produce enough melatonin. So what they'll do is they'll go to the store and they'll purchase over-the-counter melatonin. You can buy it, and sometimes it's dissolvable, flavored, cherry flavored. Sometimes it's a little pill, and it helps you to naturally fall asleep. You don't have a drug in you. You're not dopey. I'm not suggesting you go out and get any and take it. I'm just telling you that it is out there, all right? Okay, the thymus gland. Now, this is a nice one. You need to know where it's located. And when I said below the sternum, I didn't mean like if this is your sternum, it's located here. I meant like behind it, okay, in the back of. So the thymus gland is located below or behind the sternum. Its function is to develop T lymphocytes. Now, a lymphocyte is a white blood cell which helps fight infection. And HIV patients are very aware of their T cell count because with HIV it drops. And the medication they can give you to take helps support it and bring it back up. Now, the nice weird thing about the thymus gland, in childhood it's right there. And you can see it on an x-ray. But as we get older in puberty, it starts to disappear. It just goes away. It shrinks, actually, all right? And the only thing it's good for on adults is to see it's a landmark. You ever see when they do an x-ray, there's always this little light that lights up, and this is right in the center. And if they take a good chest x-ray, the thymus gland will be right there, okay? It's a little hard knot, that's all it is, doesn't do anything else. Hypothalamus. Okay, it's located, again, in your brain. Man, can't do much without the brain. It controls body temperature. If you've ever seen the movie Osmosis Jones, and if you haven't, I highly recommend you do. It's a comedy, it's a cartoon, but it is very, I don't mean adult, like, ooh, adult. No, It's not the kind of like, kids like it and adults like it. I'm just going to say that, all right? The function is to control body temperature, and it also controls secretion by the anterior pituitary gland. So, what I have here at the bottom, okay? Glands secrete or release hormones. Hormones are secretions from the gland that go directly into the bloodstream to the receptor sites or cells. So here's the hormone, there's the receptor site. You found it, all right? So glands, hormones, and what are receptor sites? These are recognized sites within various target tissue in which the hormones are able to act until they hit that target receptor site. They can't do anything, the hormones. Once it gets there, it's like 1 + 1 = 2. Okay? Got it? All right. Tomorrow I would like to do a really, really, really good review with you all right? Both in pre-med and intro. Now, Thursday is the last day of the module. So as soon as you all check in with me, I will be emailing each of you your test. I ask you to take the test and send it back to me as soon as you can, because I've got to get your final grade. And I will email you with your test grades and with what your final grade is in pre-med and final grade in intro. All right? So I'm going to try and upload, download, middle load, whatever load this to send it to you, and then I'll come back on intro. Bye, love.